in Richmond, 96 double. Hot, hot.
99.7 KRED.
Tell you, man, you leading the league in hydration.
Aurora.
I've eaten burritos bigger than you.
This is Running Wild with Brandon Jackson.
Let's go, guys. It's a game.
And this week I'm headed out to Atlanta, Georgia. Well, me and the Red Foxes are headed out to Atlanta, Georgia to go up against Georgia State in what should be probably one of the last games that will ever be played in Georgia Dome this year, because they will be moving to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The Georgia Dome will be going under and be demolished by next year. So it'll be pretty cool to actually check out the stadium before it's all said and done. How we doing, everybody? It's Brandon Jackson, Running Wild. Just came back from Western Kentucky not too long ago. A very tough loss. It was disgusting to watch that fourth quarter. It was weird because going into the fourth, you were thinking, or at least I was thinking, like, okay, they're about to pull this one away. They're going to pull this off. And no offense to Western Kentucky at all. They're a very tough team, a very good team. I seriously thought that they had them on the ropes and we're going to drive down and at least make it a fight in the fourth. Instead, turnovers plagued the team and they gave it away. 31-10. They went into the fourth tied 10 apiece. And we're driving down the field going into the fourth. So they were actually getting ready to score and take the lead. And then turnover on a bad pitch. Western Kentucky goes down and scores. Interception. Western Kentucky goes down and scores. Another interception. Western Kentucky goes down and scores. I don't know how, like there was a very bad feeling on the bus when I traveled back with the team. They look beat. It was bizarre. I hadn't seen them look like that all year. It seemed as if they knew how close they were to victory, and not only to see it snatched away from them, but then to essentially just be smashed in the face and brought back down to reality at the end. That's at least what it felt like for me, and on the bus, it was mostly quiet. It's weird because I don't want to be down on the season, but I don't know when this win is coming. It seems that at the right times, teams figure out that, oh, they have more talent than us, let's just out-talent them. And then they out-talent us. When does it finally come together for this team and they put a win on the board? I hate to be down, but when you see how close you get and what happens as a result when you get that close, if this game were, if they did score in the fourth, let's say, and it got tied up and Aurora just couldn't score on the next possession and then Western Kentucky kicked the field goal or even scored a touchdown and the game were 24-17, I'd be feeling way different about this. I would say we're that much closer. We're right there. We can do this. When it's 10-10 and you're driving and then you get smashed 31-10, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I got to see the practices this week. I have no clue who the starting quarterback is. No clue. They are, if you're following online, you can actually see the practice now. They have been, or at least Mashburn has been starting Gaines, Leventhal, and Hendricks. All three of them have been taking reps with the first team this week. So it seems like all hands on decks for the quarterbacks. There isn't a decision. I asked Mashburn who would be starting, and his answer was whoever takes the first snap. That's not a confident answer at all. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of any of this. So I'll actually get into some of your questions and I guess dive through the topic that way to see if I can make or help you guys out with what's going on here. So, Sports Mixes 02, I'm going to go with you first. Hey, Brandon, do you think Gaines will be replaced by another freshman QB next year, or will Mashburn stay with the experience? Hashtag Run Wild from Pasadena, California. Hey, Run Wild, all the way from Pasadena. Well, as I just said, the confidence does not seem to be high. So I can't really say anything about next year. Because who's to say that we even get a quarterback in next year? I mean, right now, the one guy who seems that we're in front of and can get is Mike Hayes. And that seems like the guy that he would be bringing in next year. I don't know if he immediately goes to him next year, though. Honestly, I can't really say. I think we still have the rest of the season to go through to really get a grasp of what's going to happen. And when a new quarterback comes on board, it's going to be how fast does he learn the offense and how fast can he plug them in. So, I don't know. Let's go here to Derek Flem, is how I'm going to say that name. I imagine it's Flem, yeah, because it's, okay. Do you think Coach Mashburn would be open to running a more up-tempo spread option attack to hide the lack of push up front to run a pro-style offense? Run wild. Run wild, Derek. I don't think he's going to be running more up-tempo. I think that he really likes slowing the game pace down. But does he go more to a spread? That I can see happening because I think one of the problems that he's had thus far is getting his tight ends involved. And if you go back and you watch his season with Wyoming, he always got the tight ends involved into his game, which allowed him to spread tight ends out wide, or allowed him to run 3 wide, 5 wide, 4 wide sets. Whereas now you're seeing him go to 2 wide sets with 3 running backs in the backfield, 1 receiver, 2 tight ends, 2 running backs. It's almost as if he's trying to get as much protection as possible or get as much blocking as possible to execute run plays. Maybe it's just that he doesn't believe in the receivers that he has. I have no idea what it is. But it seems as if he's not going spread at all. He's seems to be stuck in what his offense is and trying to work within it and find new ways to make it work. I mean, think about it this way. He's added the option to the attack. So when he was with Wyoming, at first it was mainly screens, tight ends, and then as it moved along towards the end of the year, they implemented a few more QB powers and option plays and reads to help Brett Smith, who was very agile and had some speed on him, create mismatches with the defense. So, who knows? I mean, that offense can transform so many different ways that it's... I'm unsure of what direction you honestly go if you're in his position. I would like to see a little bit more spread, but I think it's going to stay pro-style offense. Maybe he expands to more 3 wide receiver sets later on, but I think right now, especially with that base being that pistol wishbone formation that he loves so much, I can't see it coming soon. Let's go here to... looking through. Let's go to Reed B here. Hey, Brandon, couple of questions today. How frustrating do you think it is for the team to look up at the scoreboard and see a 21-point loss when in reality they were in a dogfight for 3 quarters? Well, I kind of answered that question already. Though the team battled hard, like you said, the turnovers late from games were really deflating. So, yeah, like I said, the bus was very quiet back home. And the second question is, what did you think the main source of the issues in stopping the run game, the run in this game? It seemed like the biggest weakness out there for the Red Foxes. Do you think it's anything schematic or just a talent issue at this point? Thanks for the question. Oh, love the show and run wild. Thank you, Reed. I really do believe it's a talent issue. I don't think there's only so far you can go with scheming. Because if a guy's in position to make a tackle and 4 tackles are being broken into play, it's at that point it's not the scheme anymore. It's the talent. And that's to be expected. I don't expect Aurora to be an 8-4 team like Wyoming was. The talent was actually there with Wyoming. He just needed to implement his set and his offense and get that working together. So I think once the talent is there, you're going to see a major transformation in the next few years with the program and see just how far they can go. But at this point, I don't think it's schematics. I mean, what do you really do at this point? You run blitzes, they take advantage. You stay conservative, they take advantage. It's only so far that running a scheme can get you until your talent is just exposed for what they are. And I think one of the main issues, I mean, they're going to start, well, they started Rangi Unatoa last week. And I imagine this week they're also going to be starting Rangi Unatoa and keeping him there. So they're at least trying to mix things up on defense. I wonder if they move Paul Beneventi, who's been a problem in coverage, but a good tackler. They need Beneventi in there because he seems like the one guy who can actually wrap people up and bring them down, but he's a liability in coverage. So what do you do? So yeah, it's a mixed bag, but I think the main issue is talent at this point. I'll take one more question here. Let's see. Looking around here. Let's go with Brody McCurchie. Will Mashburn keep spreading the ball out on the ground with Timberlake, Rojas, and Winslet, or just primarily use Timberlake? Run Wild from Durango, Colorado. Hey, your high school team's doing pretty good this year. Man, Mike Hayes and DJ Smith look like they're coming aboard here. And also Noah Baldwin as well. So proud to have a Durango citizen commenting on the show. So I don't see them spreading the ball. And I said it earlier with the spread and pro-style offense and him staying with 3 running backs. I mean, he's always wanted the run game and to get tight ends involved, to get the heavies out there and to essentially run wild, if you will. I think that's almost kind of where the motto comes from. And I think that in the next coming week, when they go up against Georgia Southern, especially with all the quarterbacks practicing this week, I don't think there's going to be a lot of spreading it out. And I think it's going to be mostly Timberlake, Rojas, and Winslet that you see. And hopefully they find ways to get guys like Isaiah Irving and Brian Swift and Willoughby Sinclair involved, because they have to get involved in this game as well. And the tight ends, Blanchard and Jimmy, they got to get both of those guys, Jimmy Island, involved. They have to at some point, but it seems like most of the success is coming from the run game. So you go with what's successful. You know what I mean? Alrighty, those are the questions for this week. I'll actually go ahead and jump into recruiting before we take a quick break here. Look up on the board. Here are all of the new changes that have happened thus far for Aurora. And we'll actually go piece by piece with the prospects here in their high school games. The main feature this week, Durango going up against Pueblo. So this one's for you, buddy. Durango, 43-18 over Pueblo. Paul Phillips did not have a great game in this one. A more pedestrian game, 11 rushes, 53 yards, 5 receptions, and 83 yards. It was all about Mike Hayes, though he had a turnover in this game, a kind of foolish interception. He had a pretty phenomenal game nonetheless. 22 for 27, 407 yards, 5 touchdowns. Looked really great out there. This was one of his better showings of the year. And DJ Smith, absolutely phenomenal in this one. 7 receptions, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. And look at the scoreboard for all the other high school games this week. Boulder still looking for their first win of the season. Go 0-4 up against Denver. Denver actually shuts them out 28-0. Karuga, 17 rushes, 70 yards, 1 reception, 36 yards. And Dylan Chervil for Denver, 3 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and a sack. We're still in the race for Dylan, the senior, this year. Sunrise, finally takes their first loss this year going up against Aspen. They were only held to 10 points after Robert Watson had a masterful performance last week. He only had 15 rushes, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Kane Montgomery finally got a catch in this game, 4 receptions, 39 yards. Aspen wins 29-10. Jamarcus Johnston, number one for Aurora, 5 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. Rogue Jones Carter, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, and 1.5 sacks. He's a junior. We will see more of him next year. St. Joe's still losing, continuing the streak, 1-2 this year. They actually lost to my Aurora Warriors, a surprise, 33-17. Aurora 2-1 this year. Jules Chesno, 11 rushes, 73 yards, and a touchdown for the Warriors. Atticus Wynn, 7 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, a sack, and an interception. Great performance for him. Rylan Kaiser for St. Joseph, still going on a tear, 5 receptions, 146 yards, and a touchdown. Littleton, going up against Colorado Springs, continues their winning ways. They go 3-1 on the season, beating Colorado Springs 35-20. Andy Rooker officially with Colorado. He's going to Boulder next year. We lost out in the battle there. He went 2 for 2 on field goals, both of them from 50 yards, one from 55, the other one from 52. Johan Mondrasel for Littleton, another good game, 15 for 28, 282 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chuck Okerije, the tight end who we are going after, who could definitely help this offense, 6 receptions, 99 yards, 1 TD. And lastly, Greeley going up against Moore High and Moore, coming away with the victory, 27-16. TJ Henderson, not one of his greatest games throwing, but got the job done nonetheless. 13 for 33 for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, a lot of big plays there. 1 interception, 12 rushes, 57 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Dan Pierce, 3 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Darian Bowles still having a big game nonetheless for Greeley, but they just can't get wins right now. 9 receptions, 177 yards, and a touchdown. And again, looking at the recruiting board, Andy Rooker officially moved off the list. He is now going after Robert Watson, the running back for Sunrise, to see if he can play catch up with him. And then the quarterback for Colorado Springs, Bryson Hill. He had a decent game, or actually a kind of underwhelming game this week against Littleton. 10 for 31, 180 yards, 2 TDs and an interception. We'll see if he can bring him on board because he likes his dual threat presence. And if he can win the battle there, we welcome Bryson in with full arms because right about now we need all the help that we can get. We'll get back and talk a little bit more Aurora football and look forward and talk a bit more about the game against Georgia State. Should be an interesting one. I'm definitely looking forward to going out to Atlanta and calling that one. Hopefully Aurora can get their stuff together and we'll find out more once we actually get to the game. You're listening to 99.3 KRED, Aurora.